Why you want to be vocal during sex. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why you should make noise during sex. And pretty much everything that I'm going to talk about in this video is true for both men and women. And I think it's important to say that because a lot of times when we think about making noise in bed, we typically think about the woman moaning, the woman screaming, the woman having orgasms at the top of her lungs, that sort of thing. But men can make noise as well, and a lot of women actually report that they find it a big turn on when a man does. Now, obviously, how much noise you make makes a difference, right? And we'll talk about, sort of what kinds of noises and what's appropriate and all of that in just a moment. But I also want to share that making noise or being vocal can mean several different things. So it's basically an expression through sound, and that sound could be moaning, it could be loud breathing, it could be screams, and it could even be dirty talk. So those are all different ways that you can vocalize during sex that can have a great impact on your lovemaking. All right, so we know what vocalizing means, and we know that both men and women can do it. Next, we are going to talk about why you would want to do this. What are some of the benefits of being vocal in bed? But before we do that, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. As you have heard me say on this channel many, many times, my content here is really suppressed, and anytime that you interact with a video, you like it because you're like, wow, I learned something from that, or you know somebody who could benefit from it and you share it with them, or you just subscribe to the channel. Those things all tell the algorithm that people want content like this. So if you want to see more helpful stuff to make your relationship better and your sex life better, please like, share, and subscribe. And one more thing, if you don't know me, I am Kevin Anthony. I am a certified sexologist and host of the Love Lab podcast. And for over a decade, I've been helping men, women, and couples identify the patterns and behaviors that are preventing them from having, the relationship and sex life they really want. So I have this ability to see the patterns that you can't see on your own. And so when you need help, having the relationship and sex life that is possible, but you just haven't been able to figure out yet, I can help you have the relationship of your dreams and the best sex of your life. Okay, let's dive right in. Why would you want to be vocal? Because some people actually really struggle with this, but I want you to know that there are some really good reasons why you would want to do that. The first one, it is a natural way to express pleasure and satisfaction. So, when you are in the depths of pleasure during lovemaking, it is only natural to let that expression out through your voice. And so you might find that if you're afraid to be vocal and you're not letting that out, that you're actually holding yourself back a little bit, potentially decreasing the amount of pleasure you could be experiencing. So, just let it go for sure. And we'll talk about, some of those things about, what is it too loud, or am I being too much, or that sort of. We'll talk about that in a moment. But for now, just know that it's a natural form of expression and you should just let it go. Next, it can actually increase your arousal, and it can also increase your partner's arousal. So the more you start to make noise, the more you start to feel it in your body, the more that your arousal will increase. And for most people, hearing their partner make noise as a result of actions that are happening during sex tends to also really raise their arousal level as well. So if you're looking for a way to get those arousal levels stoked and get them, building faster and higher, making sound might just be the thing that does it for you. Next on the list, it can communicate to your partner what you are liking, what feels good for you, without actually having to use words. Now, I'm a big fan of using words during sex. I'm not one of those people that's like, man, you really shouldn't talk because it's going to kill the mood. I'm a huge fan of it. I talk during sex all the time, not all the time, but you know what I mean, right? Like if there's something I need to communicate or something that I'm feeling, I am not afraid to use my words. But there might be times where you don't need to, right? Where you can simply, like, your partner touches you in a certain way and you just let out a sound like, oh yeah, because that's all that's really necessary in that moment. So it is possible that you can communicate things to your partner simply through the sounds. Now, remember, I also mentioned that being vocal in bed could also mean using your words. Like you could talk, it could be dirty talk. You could tell somebody, yeah, that's what I like. Oh, that's the right spot. Oh, keep doing that. Or I love it when you do it that way. All of that is good vocalization as well. And all of those things can communicate to your partner that you are liking what is happening. Next, it can actually increase your pleasure as well, not just your arousal, but it can help you increase actual pleasure that you are feeling in your body. How does it do that? Well, sound can actually activate the vagus nerve, which is linked to increased orgasms. I did a whole show. I had Leah Piper on my show on the Love Lab podcast, and we talked about the 4 pathways to orgasm, and we talked about the vagus nerve pathway in that episode. So if you want more on the basic the way that nerves affect orgasms and the different pathways to get to your orgasm, go check out that episode because we go into it in depth in that one. For now, all you need to know is that it can actually activate your vagus nerve, which is one of the pathways to orgasm. So it can actually help you orgasm and potentially increase your orgasm as well. Another thing that it can do to increase your pleasure is it can help you move sexual energy. So when we're talking about sexual energy, especially from, say, a Taoist or a tantric perspective, we're talking about that life force energy that flows through us. And we often talk about how we can move it through our bodies and through our partner's body as a way to increase pleasure. It's also a way to help you last longer if you're a guy, so that all that energy doesn't get stuck down in your genitals, right? You get to move it through your body. So you can, of course, do that with breath, which is a big way that we will often teach that, but you can also do it through sound, through your voice. So don't be afraid to use your voice to help move that sexual energy through your body. You'll start to feel it in more places than just your genitals. This is how you can have whole body orgasms. This is how you can move sexual energy through you so that you're feeling it everywhere and not just localized. So making sound during sex can actually significantly increase your pleasure. All right, and the last one is that it can actually boost your confidence as well. Let's face it, not everybody's confident in the bedroom, and a lot of people feel a little shy, a little self-conscious, a little uncomfortable in many ways, not just in being vocal. But the more you can let out sound and be yourself and be fully expressed in your pleasure and seen in your pleasure, the more confident you're going to become in the bedroom. You'll stop thinking about, oh, maybe I'm being too loud, or oh, maybe this or that. And you'll just allow yourself to be present in the moment with what is. And sometimes what is a whole lot of sound, and that's great. Okay, I also mentioned that we were going to talk about, sort of what's appropriate, what's not. Like, I have this under the title of what gets in the way. Why aren't more people vocal during sex? Number one is people are self-conscious. They're worried that, it's too loud or it's too much or, whatever it is. And I honestly think that if your partner loves you, and that is part of your true, authentic expression, that there is no such thing as too much. I've had partners that were so loud you could literally hear it at the other end of the street. Not across the street, like the other end of the street. And I've had partners that were very quiet, that like you could barely hear in the room, right? It's all good as long as it is part of your authentic expression. Celine was very, very loud, to the point where, if my ears were too close to her, it would actually be damaging to my ears. And she knew that, but I never told her to stop. She would just turn her head a little bit, or sometimes she would cover my ear so it wasn't directly in my ear. And it was great. I loved the fact that she was that loud. Do all my partners, need to be that loud? No, of course not. But that's what was true and authentic for her. And I loved the fact that she allowed that to be, heard and witnessed. Another reason is, people often feel, and this is very similar to what we were just talking about, that they're too loud. Like it's too much. I'm going to be too much. I'm going to be over the top. My partner's not going to like it. Really, you don't know that. Just have a conversation with your partner, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then another thing that gets in the way is people don't want to feel performative. They don't want it to feel like, it's a performance. I'm acting in a porn video or something like that. And, as long, again, as what you're doing feels authentic to you, then that's what's important. Now, sometimes there are situations where, your partner's like, I want you to be louder and I want you to scream and I want you to do this. And it's like, that's where, again, you have to have conversations, which really leads me to the last point of this video, which is ultimately you need to talk to your partner. You need to find out what works for both of you. You want to be fully expressed and comfortable in who you are and how you're showing up in that. And that goes for both partners. So have those conversations. Hey, babe, would it be okay if I were more vocal? Or, when I get really, really loud, is that too much for you? Like, what do you like? What don't you like? You might want to say to your partner, I love it when you make sound. The louder, the better, or the this or the that, whatever. Just have those conversations so that when it is time, you're in the bedroom, you can allow yourself to be fully expressed, fully seen, fully heard, and increase your pleasure. If you can do that, I guarantee you're going to have better sex. All right, there you go. Those are some reasons why you should be more vocal during sex. I hope that you learned something. I hope that maybe that gave you permission to be a little bit more vocal yourself. And as always, if you are looking for more of my work, please go to kevinanthonycoaching.com/link in bio. That is my link tree where you can find everything from my coaching programs to products I sell, to products I recommend, to blog articles, YouTube videos, podcasts, and more.